CCS Chief Executive Natarajan Chandrasekharan speaking to Sharanjeet Lail there. Now, it's the first major reform of the Modi government, revamping India's labour laws, something that both domestic and foreign companies have long demanded. It's part of a plan to revive the economy, boost manufacturing and create jobs. But not everyone thinks it's a great idea. Shilpa Kannan reports from the northern Indian state of Haryana.
Getting some hands-on training. Like most of these men, Dev Kumar hopes to find work in India's car industry. He's 22 years old and left school with few skills or qualifications. A common story among millions of young people looking for jobs. But under a new scheme, industry and government have joined forces to train millions of apprentices like Dev.
I had no hope of ever working in a factory. But under the new scheme, people like me actually have a real chance of being part of a formal industry. And we can learn and grow here.
Manufacturing here only makes up about 15% of the economy. But India wants this to reach 25% within a decade. And forcing companies to grow the skilled workforce by training apprentices is just one change in labour laws aimed at kick-starting the sector.
India wants to encourage factories like this one to increase the contribution of manufacturing to the economy. While businesses like banks and IT companies can recruit or lay off employees pretty easily, manufacturers face different laws. The labour laws here make it tough for them to hire or fire employees or even close down a factory when they want to.
This car parts maker says at the moment it can't adjust the size of its workforce to match the ebbs and flows in the business. And so it's welcoming another change in the law which will make it easier to hire fewer permanent staff and more subcontractors, making it more competitive.
I think as a businessman, I am looking for flexibility. If businesses are 5–10% fluctuating, it's easy to handle. But there are some big industry segments where you could have a fluctuation of up to 50%. What do you do in those cases?
But might the prospect of having more casual workers who don't have the same legal protection, wages or job conditions cause problems? This is the aftermath of violent clashes between workers and management at Maruti Suzuki's factory in Haryana. Months of strikes cost it more than $500 million, with workers' rights at the heart of the dispute. The types of standoffs some expect to increase as the number of temporary workers rises.
I'm not opposed to private investment, but I think that there is a certain framework within which industry must be willing to work, which is the law of the land. What the current amendments are doing is weakening, for instance, reducing the number of factories that come under the Factory Act. Now, the Factory Act basically provides for things like the health, working hours, those kinds of things of workers. Why should industry be seeking exemption from that?
Some question if factory floors really are the long-term answer to more employment in India anyway, in a world that's ever more driven by technology. But in an economic climate changing fast, most expect these labour changes to be just the beginning of an overhaul of India's industrial landscape.
Shilpa Kannan reporting there. Well, it's time now for us to take a short break.